Good morning, YouTube. I know for sure that California and their injustice towards me and my daughter and my whole family is definitely what exacerbated my disorders or disorder and caused trauma-based disorders that were literally disabling me in California. I know that's what happened. I know. I think California I think California definitely needs to be held responsible. Riverside County specifically. Child Protective Services in Indio and Larson Justice Center, who would not allow me to raise my own child and object to her being exposed to a complete stranger that was very abusive in many ways to me. And then I had to withstand him being abusive to her in many ways and controlling of both of us. And now my family pretty much, I'm not going to say my family hates me, but there's very little communication between me and my other children, me and my mother. And my mother and I, we have different issues, separate issues that we've had my whole life, aside from what's going on, that don't help the issues I'm going through at all. So until I'm able to sit down with my family members and we're able to understand that and keep whatever my mom says separate. And I don't say this to be mean or disrespectful to my own mother. I say this because my mother doesn't seem to have the understanding that a lot of the information she's communicating to people is incorrect. And because of that, I'm still being alienated. My children keep telling me, Mom has always accepted you. And I don't, no, honeys, no, honeys. No, my dears, that's not been the case. That's not been the case. The whole thing with my children, my mother doesn't realize that it was their responsibility as my family to, okay, yes, I was an adult, and no, they can't control who I'm with or what abuse I exposed myself to. But when it comes to CPS or the judicial system or mental health abusing our family members, we need to be hypervigilant and stand up for that. We need to be hypervigilant and stand up for our family's rights. Yes, my children are my responsibility, were my responsibility, and my mother took that on. But that doesn't make me any less of a mother, because my mother fails to realize that this situation was a case of discrimination to the T. Someone's personal opinion based on no evidence, based on word of mouth from whose mouth, I don't even know. And then you have my mother upset with me going on YouTube, mentioning things that are personal and private. But she was very quick to share with CPS in California that I said I was on methamphetamines for 8 years. I have never in my life told my mother that I was on methamphetamines for 8 years. And I don't know, I can't even determine if CPS is telling the truth or if my mother's telling the truth. I actually informed my mom while I was still in California. I informed my mother, when CPS calls to speak with you, tell them you don't know, because honestly, none of my family's been involved in my life to any extent that would give them the privilege of even having an opinion about me. And that's not anything negative. That's something that protects all of us from them manipulating them into mentioning what their opinion or where they think I was and what they think I was doing. And then CPS using that as evidence. Because my family, like I said, has not been involved in my life for almost 20 years. Over 20 years. I mean, here and there, hit and miss, a few interactions for like holidays, but that's it. Honestly, since I was about 17, 18 was the last time I lived with my mother, right before I gave birth to my oldest. I stayed until my 18th birthday in October, and then I had my daughter in February. And that was the last time my mother had any extensive interaction with me. You know what I mean? There was a short time afterwards when I got pregnant with my son that I needed that I was staying with my mom and dad, but that was only a short-lived couple months or something, a few weeks at that. I don't know. The whole point is that I'm not. My mom is quick to assume. My mom is quick to share in rumors. My mom is quick to express how many things are going wrong with me and how this is going on with her and that's going. It's really, she has people to talk to. She has people to gossip with. I don't gossip. I don't approve of it. I don't like it. I can't stand it when people do it. When people talk to me about other people that I'm really not anyone that they know, I get irritated. Even just talking about people in general, other than, oh yeah, I saw such and such and they're doing good and they're positive, encouraging things, letting people know that someone else is okay or things like that is one thing. But to sit there and gossip about someone else's personal business really pisses me the fuck off. I can't stand it. I cannot stand it. And so when my mother is one that does those things, and 9 times out of 10, when I've been involved, this is just based on my experience. This is not me saying my mother's a liar. This is not me saying my mom always gets things wrong or starts rumors. From my experience, my mother's information has been incorrect the majority of the time. I'm basing this on things I've heard her say about other things, and my father arguing with her about, okay, no, Becky, that's not what it was, or from things she's said to CPS about me that weren't even close to any resemblance of anything I've ever said to her. And that's when communication is important between family members, because I can't even determine if they made it up in their report or if she really told them this. Like, who the fuck? I love my mom to death, but who the heck does she think she is to say that I said I was on methamphetamines for 8 years? I've never said anything remotely close to my mother like that. That being said, yeah, I'm happy because I'm working. Actually, I'm training right now. That's all I'll say about that. I'm training. I love it. It's going well. Things are going to be okay. I'm going to be all right. I'm getting my shit together. I do stress a little bit about my daughter. I'm very hypervigilant for her safety, and I'm very hypervigilant for our safety and our familial unit, because she and I are all we have. Like I said, my mom's not speaking to me. My children, my daughters are not speaking to me anymore either. I know they're all probably upset with me because I'm blaming my mother for a lot of things. And I'm not blaming my mother in a sense that I want her to pay the penalty for anything. I'm wanting all of us to realize that, okay, well, whereas there may not be anything wrong with me, but none of them have been in my life and none of them know what the fuck I've survived. None of them know. And for my mom to call me verbally abusive is ridiculous. I am like the least abusive person I have ever met. Seriously, I'm very conscious about how I talk to people. I'm very conscious about physical contact with people. I'm very conscious about how I even convey attitude around others, because I don't ever like to make people hurt the ways that I've been hurt in my life. And I've been hurt over some very intentional but subtle abusive tactics. Like covert narcissists are ridiculously malignant most of the time. And I'm lucky that I survived as much abuse as I have. Now, mind you, yeah, I've been physically abused. That, okay, to me is nothing. The emotional abuse I've withstood is fucking ridiculous. Fucking ridiculous. Seriously. Pushed to the point where oh, come on. And some of it was actually perpetrated by the courts of California. Like for them to sit there and play games with your head, just completely ignore everything you're telling them as you're standing in court and you have it written on the document repeatedly. This man is doing this. He's abusing my child. This. You're refusing to accept our reports of abuse. You're refusing to grant me an order of protection because I failed to. I'm a victim. I'm a victim requesting a protective order, and you're telling me I don't meet the burden of proof to get a protection. I am not a detective. I am not a police officer. I am not anyone that needs to provide you with any evidence. And then she told me I needed a report to back it up. So I filed the report, and then she dismissed it again. She refused to grant me a protection order again. This man has a history of sexual assault, oral copulation on minors, unlawful sex with minors, rape by force of minors, sexual assault of a minor, robbery, assault with a deadly weapon, registered narcotics offender. Jeffrey Martin Miller is a criminal calling me a criminal. The last times we went to court, this is very emotionally abusive to have a man like this sitting in court, winning against you and your biological child. He's nothing to do with you except for your old stalker that would never leave you alone. And I have proof of that because people would refuse to open their doors for him all the time. But I'm not going to put them in the position where they have to testify because they have to live in the same neighborhood as him. And I know how terroristic he and his family is. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make anyone's family look bad, but they are so covertly narcissistic. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. This whole custody thing was about the win. It had nothing to do with my child or her welfare. It was about the win for them. And that pisses me the fuck off. And then for her biological father to be just as narcissistic as they are. Sorry to bio dad. I love him to death because I understand his disorder, but he handles his in a completely different manner. He does not purposely just go around trying to manipulate and win and take over, and he does not do that. He's a different kind of narcissist. Jeff's family, Jeff and his mother specifically, I don't know what and you know what upsets me is that his aunt led me to believe, she actually fooled me into believing that she accepted me. She was sweet. She was nice. She was this, she was that. Jeff's mother, I didn't accept it because when I first met her, she said, I'm not going to shake that bitch's hand. And then as soon as the court of law came into the picture, she was just sweet as pie. And to me no, all of a sudden, no, you didn't even know me when you said, I'm not going to shake that bitch's hand. You didn't even know me. I had not even come from that state. I was just a stranger walking down the street. I had never interacted with her, never nothing. And I'm not going to shake that bitch's hand. Are you serious? She almost made me cry that day. And every time after that, every time she hugged me, I would see her in my mind, in the back of my mind. I would see her just flipping me the fuck off and completely different. A monstrous version of her is what I would see in my head every time I hugged her. And I hated it because I was literally threatened by her. I was threatened by her because of her dual. Like some people are dual, like, okay, you have to have professionalism when you go to work. And then when you go home, you're a different person, right? Okay, there's that. And then there's some people that are just reserved around some people because they know just to keep everything at a certain level because they're just not good people to be around. So it's just kind of on a high-by basis, like an acquaintance. And then you have your friends where you're open about everything. So that doesn't mean you have to have three different faces. That means you just know how to behave and what to withhold around certain people, which is much like what we do as Aspies when we mask. How did I get into this? I just wanted to get on here and be like, oh, I'm so excited. I'm out there being productive and everything's going to be great. I'm going to do fine. I'm thinking I want to talk to the people I'm working with and see if they have, I don't know. The only information I really want to disclose is that I am driving and I'm learning the ropes. I think once I get out there on my own, it'll be a lot more comfortable for me. That way, nobody's held accountable for anybody else's actions. And I'm not saying that because the person that the woman that's training me is awesome. She's very efficient. She's doing great. I have no problems with her at all. But there's that anxiety in me because I've been done so dirty by people, and I hate that it trickles off onto innocent people. Like when people are trying to help me know the ropes or something, and I'm still like super cautious and still super anxious, and I'm trying to be friendly and open and pay attention, but still in the back of my mind because of all the things that have been done to me by coworkers and shit like that. And I was always the fall guy. So I'm always just like apprehensive. But and it's not anything against anyone else. I need to be independent. That way I know I'm the only person I can blame. I'm the only person anyone else can blame. I'm the one that takes responsibility for my actions. I'm not going to be responsible for anyone else's actions other than mine, because I'm going to be the only person in that position. You know what I'm saying? So it's not that I'm not trusting of anyone. It's not that I'm not, and it's not that anyone's doing anything wrong, because obviously I'm going through training. It's just one of the anxieties that I have, because I don't ever like being in a position where I could take the blame for anyone, or anyone else could take the blame for me. Like, seriously, it's so anxiety invoking or provoking or whatever the word. Needless to say, I'm so friggin' happy. I got home, I went to sleep. My daughter was already asleep. Everything was grand. Everything was great. I woke up this morning a little cold. I don't know why it's so friggin' cold in here. And the heater's up there. I don't know why it's up. Well, that's where the air conditioner is. I guess we have a fireplace, which would probably be cheaper than using the heater, and more economic, because the heater only heats up there. But the fireplace heats down here. But right now I don't have anything to burn. So I didn't know the logs were so cheap either. They're like $3. That's about how much I spend in electricity a day. It's like $3 or $2.81 or some shit. But needless to say, yeah. And that's just for now. That's right now. It's kind of high. Like during the, high was like $70 a month. Let's see. The highest I've paid for electricity, and it's prepaid. I prepay my electricity. So I think I paid $75 last month. But I did have to run the heater a little bit because of the weather. God, squirrel. I don't know who you are that watches me, but really? How do you do it? The only reason I'm still on is because I'm the one squirreling. Squirrel. I don't have to pay attention. Anywho, you're probably not either. Oh, anyhow, yes. It would be great if I could just get a vehicle of my own, go to Tucson and DoorDash. That's what I was going to say. I was thinking about maybe finding out if they have any unmarked vehicles that are economical enough for me to go to Tucson and do my own thing, and I still do the same percentage. Like, seriously, I don't know. It's but then I don't know how insurance would work with that. Needless to say, because I am approved by DoorDash, and if I had a vehicle, I could be DoorDashing whenever I want, however long I want. Not however long I want. I have to do within realms of safety and being a good mom still. But you want to overwork yourself and be out there. Needless to say, I'm just excited to be proving to myself that it really was my situation, because I was so petrified that I was going to get out here and still have the same issues. I was so scared that I was going to get out here and still not be able to function, and get to a certain point and then just back down, spiral back down again. And it's not happening. I knew what it was that I was very uncomfortable in my surroundings, because even after 14 years, I was never able to become familiar with my surroundings or the state of California, because it's just not where I'm from. I didn't know anyone well enough. I wasn't ever comfortable with anyone enough to to really ever be at ease. Like, seriously, there was two times the whole time I was in California. Once when I was living with my baby's father, and then once when I was living with the person that I was living with when CPS opened my case. Not opened my case, but when I first started probation. He knows who he is. Anyways, those are the only two people that ever made me feel safe and comfortable enough that I was ever at ease and able to sit and actually think about and see what was, and I still wasn't actually seeing and thinking about what was going on, how they were violating my rights. And even when I did, like, no one would listen to me. So, but now that I'm here in Arizona and everything's piecing together, and I'm expecting to be, like, I'm doing my best to be mindful and aware of my anxiety. And it really had a lot to do with being in fear of someone, because what that was happening is they're all making up bullshit ass stories about me. None of these people knew me in Indio. Nobody knew me in Indio. And everybody that I did know, the few that I did interact with would be like, oh yeah, Jeff just said you were over at his house. What the fuck are you? I would never go to his house. Why would I be at his house? He conned me into letting him take a shower when he's got how many relatives? And I was like, are you kidding me? So I stood outside because he said, oh, they're spraying my house for bugs and I need to take a shower. And I was like, okay, well, this is how you turn the water on. I'll be outside when you're done. Like, I wasn't going to stay in there because I don't trust him for shit. And I couldn't understand, why was he in my trailer taking a shower when he had an aunt down, okay, he had his mom's, he has his apartment first, then he has his mom's apartment, then he has his aunt's apartment, then his cousin lives right down the same street, and another cousin lives right down the same street. Five houses on the same street, 4 houses on the same street, plus his apartment, and he can't find nowhere to take a fucking shower? If that's not fishy, I don't know what the fuck is. If that's not fishy, I don't know what the fuck is. And then my bike gets stolen, but Linnea's doesn't. And the same day that I went to his house for fucking Thanksgiving, because my daughter begged me to go with her, so I went with her. And he calls, "Are you guys on the bikes?" No, we're walking. And then my bike disappears, gets stolen. Fucking cut, the lock got cut and it got stolen. Coincidence maybe, but come on. Give me a fucking break. That man's been stealing from me since the day he met me. That's why he still has a $350 iPhone I still have to pay for. And I'm still paying for it now. It's supposed to be blacklisted. They have it temporary disconnected. I don't know if that's the same, but my mom and dad said he called from that number and asked that I call them. They just want to know Linnea's okay. Oh, really? Welcome to not even close to the suffering I was going through, because I'm her mother, and I would be half a block away, and you would still refuse to communicate with me or interact with me or even let me have my child or even agree that you wouldn't put your hands on her. Well, how else do you suppose I discipline her? Are you fucking kidding me? You don't discipline my kid at all. I don't discipline other people's children. And I discipline my children much different than other people do. So anything you do towards my child that's in any way, shape, or form abusive, emotionally, physically, any of that is terroristic to me as well. Like, seriously, that will make me stand up for the safety of my child and murder your ass. People don't realize I was this close to homicide in California. And I am so upset that I can't even express that, because I get looked at like, oh my God, no, are you kidding me? To protect my child? The law says I have the right to protect myself, my family, and my personal property with reasonable force. And if the law is not helping you, instead they're aiding and abetting the criminal that's keeping your child from you, the convicted sex offender against minors, who has no right to be around any minor children or disabled people and works in a disabled facility. When I'm sitting here struggling to work, but I can't because you have me so anxiety-ridden about my daughter's safety. Plus, I'm hearing things going on at his house. I'm hallucinating things that are going on at his house. And then my daughter comes and I ask her things, and she'll tell me exactly what I heard, and I would be freaked the fuck out. That made it even worse. I would be like, oh, this is really shit that's happening to my kid. Like, my God, my daughter is really seriously getting abused, and I'm hearing it as it's happening. I was hearing it as it was happening. I sat in my trailer and had a fucking meltdown one day in the bathroom. Sorry, we're way off subject here. I just wanted to come on here. And I'm so happy I'm working and whatever and training and going to be blah, blah, blah. But anyways, in the bathroom, I sat there in the bathroom hearing some woman. First, I heard my daughter being choked. I heard my child choking. I heard a woman saying, "You will never see your mother again. You'll never see your mother again." And then the one time I call her during school, the one time I call her during class, she didn't answer her phone. 2 seconds later, the school calls me and says, "We need you to come down here because there's been an incident." Never have they ever called me for anything. Jeffrey Martin Miller would enroll my child against my and her father's will in the school he wanted her in, because he would claim to come speak with us about it. And he says, "Well, I have primary address. So just because you guys want her here, I have to do it?" No. They don't even understand how in depth they have violated our rights, how deeply and brutally and blatantly, and they are so effed if an attorney decides to stand up for my ass and my child. because what they did was 100% blatant disregard to the state statutes that are put in place in the family code to protect parents and children. And they blatantly ignored my repeated warning of the 23 plus, 10 plus, 10, 15, 23, I think it's over 23 statutes they violated of the family code in regards to my child. Upwards of. And I still don't know how to defend myself for that. I still don't know how to stand up for us. I don't know if there's ever going to be I don't know if there's a statute of limitations. I don't know if they're just trying to, I don't know, because things still happen. Things are still happening. Jeffrey Martin Miller had the police call me. The police called me and said, oh, he's reporting her missing. He's going to report. Are you kidding me? The first time he kidnapped my infant from me and you guys sent me to ETS because I was a danger to myself, I was a danger to the motherfucking dope fiend that was in the middle of the street by himself after taking my child 3 days prior without permission because I stepped outside for a cigarette. He picked her up off the floor and disappeared out the side door. Oh, come on, Amber, you can't have her out here. You're so fucking twacked back. You are so irrational that you think this is okay. And then you're convincing the police that I'm suicidal and blah, blah. No, officer, I cut myself to get him to tell me where my daughter is. That's not suicidal. It's a superficial scratch, first of all. And at least I didn't do it to him. I'm not abusing him. I'm not a danger to anyone else. And I'm not even a danger to myself until you don't find my child. And they didn't. They put me in ETS for 3 days and made me leave her with him again. For 3 more days. God knows where. I had no clue where she was. I've been traumatized ever since. And they want to come to my house and enforce child abduction services when they never, ever even could. What? I repeatedly told them my infant he has my daughter and I don't know where she is. He has my infant and I don't know where the fuck she is. Dude, you guys know who this man is. They knew who he was. They knew he was a criminal. And they kept well, isn't it better for her to be inside than out here with you? You don't know where the fuck I'm going. And I'm not going to tell you because it's none of your business. And he's standing right here. Where I live, where I go, that's my business. So many times I couldn't even tell police anything I needed to tell them because he would be right there. And they were all siding with him. Because he's Mr. Twack back, slam back Jeff Miller going to court saying, I have a history of. He would go to court. He went to court and said, I had an extensive history of substance abuse. No, I have an extensive history of complying with CPS requests because Karen Cote told me these are the things they're going to ask of you because this is what they think is going on. So I did it. Substance abuse, parenting, and life skills or some shit. Because it was going to be expected of me. I started the programs before they were even ordered. Just because I complied does not mean that I had any issues with substance abuse. I never tested positive, ever. Not even the first one that she put in the report claiming it was positive. She wouldn't show it to me. She didn't make a copy of it. It was not admissible in court. And you can ask the residential, I think the director at the shelter that I was in. I don't believe she was even allowed to see it. But my belief is that it was slightly pink. It had one in a very fine line or very faint line. And she decided that that meant that there was obviously some use prior to. That's why it's so faint. Bitch, please. It's not admissible in court means you can't even put it in the fucking court report. You can't even put it in the report. And then to use that to take my child from me, to give to Jeffrey Martin Miller, they place her in CPS, protective custody. Do you know what that does to kids when you separate them from their parents? Do you know what it does to kids when you separate them from their parents? My son was removed from me at the hospital. My son is dead. My son is dead. University Medical Center, removed from me for no reason. 8 days later, the judge said, are you crazy? Give this woman her kid back. Why did you even take him to begin with? There's no evidence of anything. There wasn't even any accusations, just that I had an infant that passed away prior to. My son's dead. Killed himself. And then you've got everyone down the line that's had any interaction with him not understanding what that does to neurological development of children, not understanding what it does to their ability to feel safe, what it does to their ability to feel loved, what it does to their ability to have bonding and healthy relationships, or bonded and healthy relationships. And then everything they're suffering is being minimized. That is why I blamed my mother. And I don't blame her, but I'm pissed that nobody will understand this. I've sat here for fucking 5 years. This is way off subject now. I'm so happy. I've sat here for 5 years studying the law of California, family law. And I know all the injustice they did to me, and I can't do a fucking thing about it because I have no family to back me up. I have no friends to back me up. I have no support except for one person who has a very arduous job himself. Arduous, is that the word? Yes, arduous, whatever, taxing job himself. And so he's pretty much busy 99% of the time. And I'm not his responsibility. As a matter of fact, he's one of the adults that took responsibility for me when my parents wouldn't take responsibility for me. So that being said, yeah, sorry. I'm sorry, Mom. I think my mom should have been charged with child neglect because I was running away from home for a reason. And she was refusing to allow me to come home because she had 2 other children she had to worry about, and I was setting a bad example. I was the only child that was spanked that I can remember. I was the only child that was spanked that I can remember. What does that tell you? If I'm such a bad kid, I'm such a bad adult, so dysfunctional, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be condescending, and I know it sounds mean and condescending, but I'm starting to get really frustrated with this shit. Like, there comes a time I have to accept responsibility for the fact that a lot of my children's problems are going to be directly related to me not being there as a mother. And I beat myself up all the time because I didn't know how to do the things I needed to do as a mother. Why I didn't know how? There's a few reasons. I don't stand up for myself very well when I'm near or around anyone that I consider an authority figure, because my parents taught me real quick not to buck the system. Abusive men taught me real quick not to buck the system, especially with someone who's in authority over you. I'm not an abusive person at all. I don't know why my mother keeps saying I'm verbally abusive. I don't know where she's pulling this shit out of. But she seems to think that my opinion based about their parenting style, which was an authoritarian parenting style. There was a article that I posted, a pretty extensive, not extensive, but a pretty detailed article that described several possibilities and situations and different points of view regarding authoritarian parenting. The only thing she's pulled out of it was that it was void of love, and I was saying my family was void of love. I never said that. My parents' parenting style resembled authoritarian. Mine resembled the one above it. It's a matter of opinion. That's me having an opinion. That's me expressing my opinion. Just because you don't agree with it doesn't mean you can tell me to shut up and then call me verbally abusive. Doesn't mean that you can tell me not to post any more videos expressing my point of view on my family's parenting style, because what I want to happen here is for everyone to stop and look at the big picture. It's always been stop and look at what Amber's doing wrong. And I could be wrong. Maybe it's just me feeling self-conscious, like everyone's blaming everything on me. But I must get that from my mother, if that's the case. She's kind of distributing the same. There's so many. My mom has no clue. My family has no clue. I can sit here and everything they tell me that I'm doing wrong. Okay, I'm going to stand up for my son. My son, Ray. See, I don't know how they've changed any of my children's names. Now I'm starting to get mad. See, this is what CPTSD does to you, because things trigger things. Like, who gave my mother the right to change my child's name? Her name was Asia Lee. She was named after her sister, Lee Asia. Her name's Lee Asia, named after her sister, Asia Lee. I said it backwards. I get word dyslexia. Asia Lee passed away at 3 months old. Very shortly after I had Lee Asia, which was just Asia Lee's name switched backwards. My mother said that she didn't want Lee Asia to feel like she had to fill the shoes or live up to. She wasn't a replacement for anybody. Her name is irrelevant to her. I mean, her name is irrelevant. Never would I ever expect one of my children to replace the other. Never did I ever have any favorites with my children. Never did I ever do anything that my mom did to me and my children. And my children. And my children don't even know. There was a point in time my mother accepted my oldest, but refused to accept my Asia Lee, Lee Asia, the one whose name she changed to Leah, Marianne. All of my kids had Lee, which is my middle name, and my mother's middle name. And they all had Jean, which was my two oldest kids' grandmother's name. Sandra, her middle name, Sandra Jean Mitchell. And also Freddie Jean's middle name. So all my kids had Lee and Jean. Okay. No one gave anyone permission to change anyone's name. So now here I am being made to feel bad because everyone's saying, okay, I don't want my girls to be mad at me. I just want them to have the right answers. I want them to have the truth. And they're sitting here telling me, not them, my child is telling me, why would mom and dad lie? Why would I not believe them if they never lied to me? I've never lied to any of you either. Tell me one lie that I've told you. Tell me one lie that I've told you. Not that my mother has told you was a lie, but that I have told you and you have confirmed is a lie. Not anything my mother has told you I've said and then turned back on, or told you I've said and then lied about. Nothing like that. Tell me one time that you have ever interacted with me and I have lied to you. My mother is the problem. I love my mother to death, but there comes a point in time where we have to all protect the whole family. And my mother is seriously the problem. She did the same thing when my grandmother died. I remember she used to sit there and blah, 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 blah about, and see, this is going to start some big shit. She used to sit there and talk about my aunts and uncles, how my mom was there, the one that was there every day with grandma while she was going through this, and the one that was listening to her, and the one that was that. And now she's doing the same thing with my kids. Mom, that was my dad's mother. That was my dad's mother. And just like you're saying, and I don't say this to be vindictive, but I just want to make a point here. You're telling me I have no right to say anything about my own son's suicide because you experienced it, not me. You're minimizing the fact that that's my son and he killed himself. You don't think I feel like I'm responsible? You don't think I beat myself up and blame myself enough? Because I was supposed to get him in California, but I couldn't because the abusive man that was living with kicked me out of the house a week before my fucking, whatever it's called, CPS home visit, when they didn't even have a right to do that. CPS invades everyone's fucking privacy and everyone helps them do it. But then the first to say, oh gosh, don't put that on YouTube. Don't put that on public. You're publicly displaying. If you have a problem, if you can't do or say anything to me in front of another person, or what you say or do to or towards me can't be put out there on YouTube, then you are with the understanding that something you're saying or doing is not okay. I don't say or do anything to anyone that I don't want broadcast. I don't have any problem with anyone ever. And there's not anyone on this planet that can take any interaction with me and say they have video and then broadcast something shitty, because I don't do that. I don't do that. I don't. I hold myself very accountable, and I'm tired of my mom acting like I'm some verbally abusive. And when I get around her, I'm like, I cower like a fucking dog. I hate it. I cower like a dog. I can't even look at her anymore. Seriously. When she said that to me, I was like, and then she said, this is when I want to stand up for my son and my son's father. Okay. James is my stepdad. I call him dad. He was there. He helped my mom raise me. We had our little issue, whatever. It wasn't even really an issue. It was something that was brought up and never effectively communicated about. But I was repeatedly held responsible by my mother and made to feel wrong for coming forward by my mother, made to feel like a liar and all this other stuff by my mother, who never even sat down and figured out what the fuck I was actually saying. Like I bet you can ask any one of my family members and ask, what happened between Amber and James? They won't know. No one will have any clue what you're talking about. Not even my mother. I can guarantee you. I can't guarantee you, but okay. And then what about my sister? What happened between him and my sister? I can't say I wasn't there. But I do believe my stepfather ended up going to counseling. I do believe my stepfather ended up taking action for his own personal development or whatever. And that's nothing I ever induced. Nothing I ever said induced anything like that. Nothing I ever said induced any police charges. Nothing I ever said induced any negative action taken towards my stepfather. So why have I been so negatively labeled as falsely accusing him of something? The only person that's ever had any actions taken towards my stepfather based on his treatment of someone is my sister. And they still treat her like she's an angel. And I don't have any problem with that because she's my sister and she's an angel and I love her. But so am I. I'm not any less important than my sister or my brother. My mom has this amazing ability to make me feel this big and unwanted and unnecessary. And so if someone does something you don't like, or someone does something that makes you realize you're doing something wrong, and rather than facing the music, or rather than working towards personal development, it's always about, oh, so you're blaming me? She's always so defensive. There's never going to be any healing in our family until my mom stops being defensive and starts being as open-minded as the rest of us are trying to be. I can't speak for anyone but me and my mother. That's really the only person I've interacted with. I've been my aunt. And it's been all negative. And it's, my family doesn't even realize how destructive it is to me for my own children to tell me, oh, mom and dad love you. They never rejected you. And you guys don't even see what's going on. None of you even see what's going on. Ray Lee is dead. He killed himself because no one will open their eyes and see what the F is going on. Families don't do this to each other. I'm not anyone that, and I've just barely come to grips with the fact that I'm a good person. I never did anything wrong. I wasn't doing anything wrong. Even with the issue with my stepdad, I stood up for myself and I voiced something that made me uncomfortable. Nothing ever came of it except for my mom making me write a letter rescinding what I said, her taking all my belongings until I would write the letter, and then turning around and saying that it was because it's just all ridiculous. It's stuff that doesn't even need to be gone over again because I don't hold anything against my stepdad. I don't hold anything against him. I am upset that when my daughter was 18 months old, he would spank her butt because I wouldn't do it. He would spank her butt because I wouldn't do it. People don't understand how terrorizing these things were to me. And I've forgiven these people. I've forgiven my stepfather. I've forgiven my mother because I understand that they were raised to believe that that was okay. And until I sat down and read the research, I didn't even really understand how much destruction is caused, how much negative outcomes, how many negative consequences there are from doing what they did to me and my kids. Leah, you were 18 months old and sleeping with me in my room in a playpen while Sydney slept with my mom in her room. But you wouldn't go to sleep because you were used to sleeping with me. And so sometimes I would let you just sit there and cry for a little bit. And if you didn't stop crying, then I would generally go in and try to figure out what to do. Well, my stepdad jumped in, asserted himself in a way that wasn't necessary in my opinion and wasn't acceptable in my opinion. But at the time I didn't know how to stick it up. I didn't know how to stand up for myself. Because just technically speaking, I was still a kid myself. I was only like 19. My stepdad did spank me with a belt. very terrifying for me because they don't understand my autism spectrum disorder makes sensations much different for me than they are for someone who's on who's neurotypical. And I didn't realize any of this until I educated myself on my diagnosis. My mom refuses to accept my diagnosis. How can one break a foot and not feel a thing, but then get pinched or slapped and it's the most excruciating pain in the world? Like, seriously. I've had my ass whooped with a belt and I've been punched in the face. Being whooped with a belt was more terrifying than being punched in the face. And being punched in the face is more detrimental to my health and my sanity, I would think, because that's brain damage. But seriously, being spanked by my parents, my stepfather, my real father, I don't know if my mom ever spanked me. I know she slapped me in the face. But being hit by the people that you're supposed to trust the most and that are supposed to protect you from things like that, when they're the only ones doing those things to you and other people are just so nice and sweet and cool and it's confusing. It's very confusing. Look at it from a child's perspective. Leasia was only 18 months old. She wouldn't go to sleep. My stepdad would walk into the room. He would spank her butt and make her lay down and go to sleep. She didn't even understand why she was being spanked. She was doing what kids that age do. If you cannot speak yet, you cry when you need something. If you cannot speak, you cry when you need something. It wasn't anything she deserved to be punished for. It was something I, as a mother, needed to figure out what her needs were. And it's terrifying to not be able to stand up for your children when someone else is hitting them. And people don't even understand the severity of the issues in California because I was forced to let that man abuse my child for 14 fucking years. And I knew every day that him and his family were putting hands on my baby and I was not even allowed to protect her. The law stopped me every time. The police removed her from me. The courts told me if you just comply with court orders, you motherfuckers won't even listen to me. I don't hit children, period. If I see someone hitting a child, I get upset. I get upset. I will give you a lecture you've never even thought anybody could give you on the neurological damage. There's one benefit to spanking. There's one benefit to hitting, pinching, slapping, any slight, painful discipline. Any discipline that causes pain is unnecessary. Any discipline that causes humiliation is unnecessary. And it's going to counteract the whole point of discipline. We are supposed to be like teachers. We need to parent our children like teachers, not the bad teachers, the good teachers teach children. When you got a math problem wrong, you didn't get it. Now get it right. Because there's no fucking way you're ever going to get it right. Or even try again. I'm not going to try. What if I get it wrong? I know what's going to happen if I get it wrong. Fuck you. I'm not even going to try. I really believe that's part of what's happening to a lot of us that are, I do believe, maternal deprivation and punishment. I mean, our neurological systems are developing while we're in the womb and up until I believe 5. And when you're spanked, the psychological and emotional evidence or proof or signs of being physically punished, and not even excessively, just physically punished, period, don't even present until about 2 or 3 years after you get hit for the first time. I'm very adamant about God, 50 fucking different directions. Needless, the whole point was I want to stand up for my son and my son's father, because I know my son's father is an educated enough man that if someone had presented him with the same information I've presented myself with and my parents with about what it does to a child to spank them or hit them or punish them in any way that he was being punished, my son was, or in any way that I was punished as a kid, or in any way that my children may have been. Okay, what my son's father did to him was wrong. I saw pictures that pissed me the fuck off. But for my mom to sit there at the table and tell me what Rob did, I saw the pictures, what he did to him. How did she see the pictures, first of all? I was the only person that had pictures. Wait a minute. She saw what he did. Anyways. Okay, so just because my stepdad pulled it off without bruising, so fucking hypocritical. So fucking hypocritical. At that point in dinner, I shut my mouth. I didn't say anything else the rest of the night, except to my stepdad or my daughter, and goodbye to my mom. I think I asked about going to church. I can't understand. Well, I saw what Rob did to Ray, and that was wrong. Who does that to a kid? Are you kidding me, Mom? Who watches somebody do that to a kid? Who watches somebody do that to a kid? My brother sat in the room fucking scared to death. My sister had to console him because he thought they were murdering me in the bedroom. Just because I was flopping around like a fish does not mean it's my fault that you had to spank me harder or try harder to get it done. I was flopping like a fish because it fucking hurt. I was protecting myself. I wasn't attacking anyone. I was just flopping like a fish trying to protect myself from the fucking belt. I did nothing wrong in that situation. There is no difference between that and what Rob did to my son. There is no difference. There is no difference. Because the terror in a child's mind, being scared, the fright, the flight, what it releases in your brain, what it releases in your whole body, when the person you trust to protect and care for you is doing those things to you, it doesn't matter how hard they hit you. It doesn't matter if they leave bruises. It does not matter if there's a mark. I bet if they study this, I bet if they side by side do a brain study, I'll let them whoop my ass. Leave bruises on one and don't leave bruises on the other, and see whose brain chemistry is different. They'll be exactly the same. They will be identical fight and flight response, the same amount of chemicals, the same response, just as terrorizing as a toddler being slapped on the hand. Just as terrifying. I guarantee it. I'm sorry. I'm all happy. I'm hopefully going to be able to support myself now. Get off of Social Security because they are giving me all the fucking hell. They're ridiculously ridiculous. They have all this paperwork saying, oh, this and that and that and this, but then they don't even comply with their paperwork either. My phone's cut off today. I don't think my phone works anymore, except for internet. Because I paid the cable bill instead of the internet through Spectrum. I paid my internet from California. Because Spectrum Internet is who I had, and that's who has my mobile service. And then, so instead of paying my mobile bill, it paid my internet bill. That was overdue from there, but shouldn't even have been overdue from there because I told them to cut it off at the end of the billing period. And apparently after I left, they didn't. So then there was another bill of $70.99. So anyways, so I ended up paying that instead of my phone bill. And so now my phone bill was due already, and they want to turn it off today. But that being said, wow, this video's all over the place. I'm really genuinely a good person. I'm an excellent mother, and I don't need anyone else to tell me that I'm not. It's taken me a long time to get this far. It's taken me a long time to stop second guessing myself because everybody, the court of law, CPS, Jeffrey Martin Miller, my parents, everyone was convincing me that I was this horrible mother that didn't deserve to have my children. And they were proving it to me every day by keeping me from all of them. What else was I supposed to think about myself? How was I supposed to stop abusing myself if they weren't going to stop abusing me? Like, seriously. Everybody involved in my case from day one has been abusing me and my family, me and my children, not me and my family, because my mom and dad are grown and they're able to handle their own business. They need to pull up their pants and do what grown-ups do. I didn't ask to be born. I never asked to be born. My mother never had my permission to put me on this planet. And that's how I view my kids. I never had permission to put my children on this planet. I never had their permission. They're here because I had them. And I will be obligated to my children until the day I die. I will be obligated to give them anything they cannot provide for themselves because I was not the parent that I needed to be to teach them whatever they needed to know to do it. And if they have issues getting things done, it's because I did not do my job as a parent. Or there's a developmental delay, or there's some other, whatever the case may be, it's still my responsibility as a parent to be there for my children, no matter what the law says about them being 18. Any of my kids come to me right now, hey, Mom, I need a place to stay. We got a hide bed, and we got 3 mattresses in the bed. We'll work it out. But I can't pay any rent. I don't care. I got everything paid. If I can cover everything, I just need everybody to be patient with me. Don't expect more than I can give. And if it takes you 10 years to get on your feet from here, so be it. I'm your mother. I gave you life without asking you first. So who the fuck am I to force you to go through any of this alone? I'm not. I'm not going to do that to my children. And I can't even convey that to them because my mother has them blinded with some kind of, got those blinders that the horses wear. Like, seriously, I'm sorry. I love my mom to death, but she has a definite something. Then if there's nothing wrong with her, then she's just a mean bitch. And I'm sorry to say that. I would never. You have no right to say anything about your son's suicide because we're the ones that experienced it, not you. But you could say anything you want about anything you never experienced in my life, like my infant passing away and you convincing everyone that Freddie was working on a replacement. And are you kidding me? She had her opinions and her destructive information that was 9 times out of 10 not even fact-based. That led a lot of people to believe a lot of negative things that were very detrimental to our survival. And look at us now. I'm very angry and upset. I'm very angry and upset that everyone is enabling my mother. And Mom, I'm not blaming you entirely, but until all of us sit down and help you understand, there's nothing wrong with me because I'm addressing my disorder. I understand my disorder and I accept it, but there's definitely disorder in my mother's mind. There's definitely disorder in my mother's mind. My mom got her ass knocked around just as much as I did. And I would think of all people she would understand. And she always had my grandma and grandpa there to run to. And when we needed a place to go, she was always there. And throughout my whole adult life, just because of the people I chose to be with, and just because some of the bad decisions I made, I was like almost never welcome. After my first daughter was born, with the first grandbaby in the family, I was allowed to come home. But after that, and they don't realize that it was, my mom doesn't realize it was no different than with her and my father. But my grandma and my grandpa were always there. I can remember a number of times we left and went to stay with my grandma. I don't know where my mom gets it from. I don't know where she got it from. Because I can't blame what the things she does on her being taught the wrong thing. Like, I understand with Rob and I understand with other people that spank their children. You grow up with the understanding. Okay, my stepdad, even my stepdad, he grew up getting his butt spanked, I guess. No one really understood or understands that there's been 20 years of research, at least 20 years of research, that prove it's not okay. But because everyone's been doing it, oh, that's why my parents did it, and that's how I'm going to do it. Oh, look at me, I'm just fine. No, look how fucking dysfunctional the world is. Look how dysfunctional the world is. Are you kidding me? Just because people can get off their butts and go to work and pay their way through life doesn't mean nobody's dysfunctional. Nobody's looking at the whole picture and how much abuse is going on and how much, come on. Okay, I want to have a happy day. I don't know how I got into this. I don't really like to think about my mother. I love her to death, and it really tears my heart to pieces to not be able to have a relationship with her. And it really does make me feel awful to have to say some of the things I have to say, but I don't know how else. I don't know how else to help anyone understand. I don't think it's intentional dishonesty. I don't believe my mom is intentionally being dishonest or intentionally stirring up drama or intentionally giving miss whatever information. I don't know that it's intentional. But it's definitely happening. It's definitely happening. And my family, other than my dad's side of the family, my real dad's side of the family, no one's really given me opportunity and love and hey, your family. I mean, my dad's family never really, I didn't stay very much in contact because I didn't know how until Facebook came around. Thank God for Facebook. And that's when I got in touch with my whole family. And my dad's side of the family was more active in my life at that point. But my mom, it's all I'm unacceptable to them. I don't know exactly what I did wrong. What I ran away for as a child was a very valid reason in my mind. And we still have as of yet to sit down and understand that. It was a very valid reason for me to run away. Not behavior. It wasn't behavior that shouldn't have been expected or understood, especially considering the trauma our whole family had gone through. My father committed suicide at 8, my grandfather shortly after, and then my mom and dad were getting divorced before that, and my father was abusive to my mother. My father did have a problem with alcohol, from what I understand. The box my mother threw in my door when I was 13 and said, "Aaron, you want to know about your father? Here's a read about your father." And she gave me a box with all his mental health records and his military records and his other. And I wasn't even at the age to understand all of that. Like, I read things about my father in there that broke my heart. Seriously. My father was a Marine. Not very long. My father was a Marine. My grandfather had a Purple Heart. My mom's dad worked in engineering or computer chips or some shit. I don't know. But Mom, sorry you feel the way you feel about me. And I honestly really 100% feel like a disappointment to her. Like she just hates me. I feel like she hates me, and I'm still trying to figure out why. And I have to separate myself from that need because I've come to the point to understand and see that I'm a good mom. I'm a good person. I'm a good everything that I put my effort into. I'm not a failure in any of the areas I've felt such a failure in and been led to believe I needed help with, like parenting and substance abuse and all. I went to school to be a substance abuse counselor, and I won't be a substance abuse counselor. I won't do it. Because all they're addressing is they're not getting down to the root of the problem. They're not getting down to the root of the problem. They're just throwing people right back into situations that are abusive and destructive and wondering why they relapse. Seriously. And why are they putting so much energy and focus into getting people off of drugs rather than focusing their energy on the people that aren't on drugs and are so destructive it's ridiculous? If Jeff Miller was still getting high, he'd be too busy to fuck with me. I can't say that because he started doing all this when he was fucking high. So that's deceiving myself. Needless to say. I don't have family other than the Lumpkins. I feel like the rest of my family is enabling my mother. I love my brother and I love my sister, and I don't have anything against them. I don't have anything against my stepfather. Okay, I take it back. I don't have anything against anyone in my family. I'm so hurt by it. Like, I really, I'm just I feel like I'm just respecting their wishes. Like, they obviously want nothing to do with me. So why am I even trying? It's obvious that I'm not ever going to be enough. I'm not ever going to be acceptable. Everything I say and do is going to be taken in an offensive manner, even if I'm just offering a little bit of education and facts. Like, seriously, I didn't write that article my mom's upset with me about. I didn't write that. I just read it and saw some information that depicted my freaking... See, I'm scared to even say it now. Like, my mom's gonna reach through the fucking computer or have my dad kick my butt or something. He never kicked my butt, but he whooped my ass with a belt. Come on. I don't care who tells me that's not terrifying. It's fucking terrifying. It's fucking terrifying. And I'm a pretty tough bitch. I'm sorry. It takes a lot to scare me. It takes a lot to scare me, especially when I know I'm in the right, and I will get mouthy. Yes, I will get mouthy. Are you serious? If you're seriously someone who's doing me dirty and then have the nerve to come to me talking about I'm this and I'm that, are you fucking kidding me? Don't do that. That's why I can't be anywhere near my mom. It's toxic. She's toxic. She's toxic to me, and she thinks I'm toxic to her. So I mean, the best for both of us is just to stay the fuck away from each other. But see, that's not fair, because the rest of my family, I still have my uncle Philip, my Aunt Susie. These are all still my family. I don't get to communicate with any of these people because my mom has her opinion on matters, and all they hear is her opinion on matters. Like, there's Andrew, there's Sam. I have family in, like, events. I have family, like, doing things for themselves. Like, and I'm missing all of these things because I'm not worthy enough to be part of the family. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy of family. I'm not worthy of interaction. I'm not worthy of being part of holidays. I'm not worthy of being part of weddings. I'm not worthy of being part of anything. Like, everything they do with me has to be separate. Why? Why am I different than everybody else? Is it my hair? Is it my fake boobs? All of this is for me. It's obviously not for a man. I don't have a man anywhere nearby. Haven't for some time. Everything I did was for me, because obviously I had a low self-esteem. I had a very low self-esteem. I've had a very, very low self-esteem. I got my boobs because I felt like a man. I really felt like I was a dude. I did. I was like, this is not cool. I was very toned, muscular. I was very toned physically. And I even walk kind of manly sometimes. And no boobs. And so I just felt like a man. And people actually questioned if I was a woman. And I'm glad I had my breasts done. I don't care who has to say what about what. It's been 1 hour and 7 minutes, 47 seconds. My hair now, okay, it's fake, but who cares? I've always wanted to have my hair like this. It wasn't until I had to have a freaking Britney Spears moment for me to actually have the guts to do it. And I did it. And now, and I'm almost, this is almost when I hit my breaking point. Like, hey, like, I love this. I've always loved this, but I've never tried it. I know that I have it. But who cares if my hair is just short? I don't care. I don't need hair. I can just go buy some. I don't care if people think whatever they think because it's fake. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. My face, my piercings, I don't care. All these years, people got to do whatever they wanted to my face and get away with it. Punch me in the face, punch me in the nose, slap me, whatever and whatever. Come on, choke me. They got all kinds of shit. And they all got away with it. They all got away with it. I'm doing something I want to do to my face. It doesn't hurt half as bad as what the fuck they did to me. It's my right, it's my face. I want to look the way I look. The way I want to look. I'm beautiful to me right now. And I don't care what anyone else thinks. There's going to be people I'm fucking hideous. There's going to be people thinking whatever and whatever. I don't like my profile. I don't like these teeth that I'm missing. I don't like that my nose is crooked, but I'm still fucking hot. I don't care. I get hit on so much, it's ridiculous, and I hate it because sometimes I'm just like, okay, it's just because I look different. It's not that you're attracted to me because you haven't spent enough time with me to even know my personality or to know my anything. You're just like looking at me like, oh. That gets annoying. Like I don't mind compliments. Oh yeah, your hair is pretty cool, blah, 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 whatever. I don't mind those at all. But people that are like, oh, it's just because I look different. You haven't even held a conversation with me and you're all head over heels. You better get the fuck over that shit. No. Because until you know me, you don't know just how beautiful I am. All this, my head cut off. I'm still a gorgeous person on the inside. And I have no problem saying that anymore. Like I have no doubt in my mind. I know I have integrity. I know I treat people with respect. I know I say things that people don't understand. And I know I bring truth to light and it's hurtful sometimes. But if you guys had any idea how many things were brought to my attention that were false and very hurtful and are still being brought to the light as truth when they're not, and they're still so hurtful. But because I know I didn't do them, because I know it's not truthful, I have to rise above that. And I feel like I'm the only person doing any of that. So I'm going to let this video go. It's been like an hour and 10 minutes, and whoa, I just wanted to let everyone know how happy I was because I'm out there doing things. I gotta get up, brush my teeth, and eat something. Put my eyebrows on. Yeah. Thanks for listening, whoever you are. Maybe you should be a counselor. Counselors listen more than they talk. Help people find things, answers within themselves. It's a good counselor anyway. All right, gotta go. Thank you for watching. Have a lovely day. And YouTube, why so many buttons to turn off the dang live stream?